everybody, and welcome to the zoo. I'm the Rusty Panda, and I am here for you. Today we've got Gizmo and Bunny. Hello,
Hello, everyone.
hello. I'm so happy to have you in here. Um, it's really cool to interview an old friend. Um,
Yeah,
and I mean old, I mean like my whole life. So that's pretty cool. Um, but yeah, so today we're gonna have some random talks, but we're gonna talk mainly about comic books and Ren Fair and pizza and the lack of endings to the.
every
Okay, I couldn't hold that joke much longer. All right, so um, I did want to go ahead and start talking to you about what we were talking about just before. Um, and I'm interested in hearing more about your experiences with the platform Twitch and then the platform Kick, because I think it's really important for viewers out there to understand, especially what you told me, that gift subs are no longer counting towards they no longer have a monetary value.
yeah, you can definitely go into Twitch's blog and read more of the details because I know the general details. But as of I want to say August, but I feel like that's the wrong date. But sometime this year they're going to be switching over to their partner program, and your gifted subs and stuff like that will not count as of getting money, but will count towards because I think like there's a limit. I don't know. They have a whole bunch of rules where your gifted subs count towards how much you can earn, but they don't count towards you making, which is really weird. So
That's
only subs that you buy yourself will count toward money off of
wow.
because they went. I think if they're doing 70-30, but then after a certain amount it goes to 50-50, something like that. I don't know.
So
Like I
it's
said,
mainly for the partners and not for the affiliates.
as far as I know, but I don't know. See, I don't know if they're keeping the affiliates or like I don't know how the progression's going to work once. I have to do more research
Yeah, I definitely feel like I have to do more research now that I learned about that. I wonder, I wonder. Let's see.
because they just dropped this like either yesterday or 2 days ago. So this is fairly new stuff.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to see. There's the partner program, copyrighted mature content, gambling, internet censorship,
And then they just
TwitchCon.
rolled out the mature tags for
Mm-hmm.
stream. Also, if you do a stream and they warn you a few times to label your stream that like say I don't know like the mature rating. If you do a mature stream and you don't tag it
Mm-hmm.
after a certain amount of tags, they will lock that tag to your account first. So whether you're doing mature, so you have to label your stream correctly, otherwise they could lock in a tag for you for.
Interesting. And just so you know, you are cutting off at the end of your sentences just slightly. So just make sure that when you go to the end of your sentences, you try to like yell them.
I'll just keep talking with one extra letter
There we
attached to it
go. Yeah, see, we don't like endings, so we'll just keep doing that. Um I'm trying to figure out. I'm going to TwitchCon.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but now you're making me feel like I should spend my money on something else. Like we should just go to Vegas at this point and not spend the money on TwitchCon.
Well, if you're going there, make business cards and make is all I can.
Right, and that's the plan, is to make business cards and such. And to kind of go out and just advertise myself, but it won't matter if this affiliate thing doesn't isn't what it is anymore. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of advertising my channel and getting all these viewers if nothing's going to happen? I mean, I guess I can do it so that people give me subs, but at the same token, like, I just reached my sub goal of 30 and it's been like months. And that's
Yeah,
okay. Like I don't live off of Twitch, so that's fine. But my
yeah,
point is that if that's how I'm supposed to, if that's how streamers partners are supposed to make a living.
yeah. So a lot of it's probably going to be start being directed towards tips and off-service places of where people can give you money
Got
for the
it.
stream, as opposed to just subs. Because a lot of subs come from gifted subs. Like there's marathons going on now where people are making like a decent amount of money off of gifted subs because of subathons, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So
Man, I
it's going
should
to
do a
change slightly.
subathon before this all goes down. Shit.
Yeah, definitely. You can keep at well, you can keep adding your hours. I think someone just I watched just did like a 20-hour or 20-day subathon.
That's crazy. I feel like I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like that's a lot of like asking for your viewers to really pull through for you and like really ask them for money. But at the
Well,
same token, like how else are you going to get money? Like I don't know, I have this mixed feeling about it.
like subathons usually go with depending on how much the sub is worth, it adds to the time that you're going to stay on.
Right.
So like if people run out of subs, run out of.
Right, right. Um no, that makes sense. I just again, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, like I guess if you're going to do something entertaining or have something planned for most of the time, you're doing stuff, it's a little bit better than just sitting there and go, hey, so yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, there was a subathon situation and a tip situation that was really cool that somebody was trying to get enough money to get their friend a wheelchair pad that insurance wouldn't pay for. And so
Oh.
she said she was going to just keep drawing turtles until they got to the amount that they needed to get to. And she did, and it worked. And she brought on other guests who did other things that involved turtles because that was her thing. And it totally worked. And they got him the money that he needed for his wheelchair piece. And I think that's the good of Twitch. Like
Yeah.
that's something that's good. But then I also consider like I don't know. Again, if you're sitting there and you're like, this is a subathon, but you're just sitting there and doing nothing, then I agree with you. It's kind of just like, please, sir, can I have some more? Like, just kind of, I don't know. So let's talk about Kick. I don't even know if it's on Wikipedia yet. So Kick,
Yeah, I
oh,
don't
it
know.
is. It is. It is. Um, so yeah, founded in 2022 with a competitor to Amazon owned Twitch. Looser moderation and revenue shares for streamers. Is
Yeah.
mostly known for its 5% revenue charge among the lowest between streaming platforms, as well as the 2023 deals with multiple streamers formerly prominent on Twitch. Most include chess grandmaster Haikura Nakruma, Adam Ross, and XQC. They were average 110,000 live streams per day. Wow, so it's really new. Founded on the 1st of December of 2022.
Yep. It's founded by kind of like a gambling company, and that's kind of what they push people towards going there is to um was it Stake? I think it's called. I can't remember what the company is called, but they have Stake. See, there it is, along with stake.com. That's a gambling. So they
Interesting.
have a lot of stuff pushing towards people that. So the theory is the reason why they can afford to pay streamers or buy out streamers and do all this stuff is because they get a lot of those people to join the gambling site.
So on June 16th, so that's like a week ago, it was announced that XQC signed a 2-year. Who's XQC? Okay, this
He
guy.
is one of the top streamers in.
Former professional Overwatch. And they bought him out, signed a 2-year, $70 million non exclusive deal to the platform.
Yeah,
Well,
because
this made the signing of XQC the largest streaming deal, surpassing Ninja's 50 million exclusivity deal with the defunct Microsoft owners of Mixer. I remember that. That was fucking crazy.
yeah, part of the money that he gets though is he has equity in the company. So part of that money is stock in the company, not just
Oh, okay.
money he.
Um,
And the reason why it's non-exclusive is because they basically want him to stream on Twitch, show that he's leaving to Kick, and hopefully drag the people from Twitch to Kick.
Interesting. So Kick's revenue split is 95 to the streamer and 5% to the platform.
Yeah.
Twitch's former 50-50 split between creators and the platform, and less frequency with YouTube taking a 30% cut. Kick's popularity as revenue split was created by Forbes to push Twitch to introduce the 70-30 revenue splitting model for some creators. Huh. So, conditions include streamer being active for at least 4 hours a day out of 30 days a month, the streamer not sleeping, the streamer having a webcam on their face, and being the age of majority. All content creators on Kick who meet all 4 conditions will be paid $16 per hour of streaming. What?
Yeah.
If you meet those conditions, they will literally pay you $16 an hour.
Yeah.
What's the catch besides being on a white supremacy channel?
Well, that's why the theory is the reason why they can do all this, Twitch can't, is because the people that are on that platform, they're trying not only to be on that platform, but also to be on the gambling site, because stake is highly promoted on that site. So say out of like every 10 people that show up, one person goes to the site and starts gambling and spending a mess load of money. They're getting their money from the gambling site. They're not getting it from Kick.
Interesting. And the more they gamble on your channel, the better your channel does?
Well, it doesn't even have to be on the channel. I think it's just to get them to the site. And unfortunately, like no one has the numbers if that's true.
Right.
But that is a running theory, considering they can do because the stuff that they're doing shouldn't be able to keep the site going. Like it just
Right.
seems ridiculous.
Right.
So there has to be a reason why where they're getting this money from, and why. So that's why the theory is these people are signing up for the gambling site and doing it that way.
Man, I get it though. I get the need for Kick, not need for it, the desire to Kick, right?
Yeah.
$16 per hour of streaming is insane. I mean, I can't get a $50 payout until, whenever.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's
So
intriguing.
what some people are hoping that happens is that this kind of um, pinches Twitch a little bit to like rethinking how they do things. But as far as Twitch is concerned, I don't even think they are concerned with this site at all.
Right. Which they probably think it's more like Mixer,
Yeah.
where, it's the rise and fall of it.
It's a new kid on the block, but it won't last.
And everybody thought that Justin TV was the new kid on the block and it wasn't going to last. You know what I mean? Like you can't say that, cuz it could be the next best thing and people want to get in the ground floor of that. But again, I don't know if I could promote the gambling background.
Yeah. Plus, unconfirmed, but from what I hear, the CEO of the company kind of a
What?
kind of a jerk.
Oh yeah, I'm not surprised with that situation at all. But okay, let's start going on your likes and dislikes. I thought that was a really interesting part of our conversation that we had before stream started, and I thought it was interesting to
Yeah, it's
bring
definitely
up.
something everyone should go and look on Twitch's blog and read for themselves and decide what they want to do with that information.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I had originally up here comic books as the number one thing that pulls up when we're talking, right? So usually I have something that shows up first, and so everybody can see it, and so that for me was comic books. So explain to me, you're collecting comics and you're collecting mangas and all of that stuff. Explain to me where that all kind of came from. Go to early Gizmo.
Okay, so the way I started all this is that my grandfather one day came home with two plastic bins, and gave them to me. And I'm like, what are these? Opened them up, and they're all a bunch of comic books from everything from Marvel, DC, Baby Huey, like the whole 9 yards, everywhere. And we're like, where did they come from? He's like, don't worry, they fell off the back of the truck. So no questions were asked. But that's how I started doing comics, is that I had all these comics, and then that kind of led to me not only collecting them, which it took me a long. It took me the. I'm kind of embarrassed of this, but it took me the longest time to figure out that Amazing Spider-Man were not the same comic book.
Oh yeah, okay.
So I kept adding the numbers. And I'm like, these numbers don't add up. One's 87, the other one's 121. Like, what's going on? And then I realized like the different titles, different things.
Right, right. Yeah, I wouldn't have known the difference, but then again, this is me we're talking about, so.
Yeah, plus like no one in my family knew of how comics work. They just knew they were a comic book.
Right, right.
So from there, I started actually tracing. So that led to drawing, but like that's what started the collection. And then I used to go to the mall on Fridays, and then people used to buy like other things. I used to save up my money throughout the week and then just go buy comic books.
I remember the mall on Fridays. I know you guys invented that, but man, did we go out with a bang? Because they made that mall so secure and so bougie after we left that they were like, man, this generation needs to GTFO because their predecessors really made it, really made this place their own.
I feel like they just kept adding more light until no one showed up because that place is bright as hell now.
Is it? Yeah, I just
Yeah.
I just remember the new tile floors, and when the fountain went away and was replaced with a Starbucks, I was like, I don't live here anymore. Like this is not the mall you were looking for.
No,
Um,
definitely not.
so yeah, I remember that comic book shop. I think my sister-in-law's brother either works or worked there for the longest time, but he's like my age, so I doubt he was working there when you went there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he had high praises as far as, seeing people come in with collections and all that stuff. Did you ever go in with stuff or did you always just come out with things?
No, I always came out with things, and talking to the guy at the shop was a little difficult because I guess he just got annoyed that kids would just come in and look and not buy anything.
Got it.
But when like I had questions, it seemed like, oh, it's so simple to him. But like I didn't know anything about comics,
Right.
so it just seemed like ordinary questions, and he's just like, oh, like he can't be bothered with such simple questions. So I'm like, whatever, man. I want to buy your comic.
Right. Just give me a heads up and I'll give you some money. Like that's all I need. Just a little bit of heads up. Yeah. Okay, so you said that you started with some comic books. I mean, do you still have those? Like are those collecting items that you still hold true to you or are those items that are long gone?
Okay, so best explain. I have a T-shirt with a panda holding all these medieval items, saying, "I'll take with this with me just in case I need it." So yes, I still have those comics from when I was little.
Yay! That's awesome. That panda knows well.
Yes.
That's great. Okay, so good. So, uh, what is your top three comic books? And we'll look into that. Not manga. We'll get to that in a second. But like
Okay.
top three comic book.
Current would be Ninja Turtles by IDW. Um, Sonic the Hedgehog, which I believe is also IDW.
What is it? IDW.
Yeah, IDW is kind of like Marvel and DC, but not as high up.
IDW Publishing. Okay, I got you.
Yes.
Okay, so debuting on August 2011.
Yep.
Okay, so this is a newer one, and you find this to be top three.
Yeah, this is definitely one of my top collection stuff,
Okay.
and they've been going strong for a while.
Now, why does this make the top three?
I like the tales and the fact that they incorporate a lot of the different turtle variations to the book itself. So, like in the beginning, they're actually reincarnated from past childhoods, unlike like from our childhood where they're just turtles mutated. But in the story itself, there are characters that were turtles that were just mutated. So they take bits and parts from the lore of all Ninja Turtles and work it into the book. And I think that's
Oh,
pretty neat. So
yeah, that is neat.
you're not just like left out, but it eventually works its way in.
Yeah,
I've been finding it pretty cool.
yeah, that's awesome. So, volume one issues 1 through 100, 101. Volume two is 101 too. So, why did they separate the volume one? Like, what separates a volume one to a volume two? Like, is it like
Depend.
a good ending, and then you're like to be continued, and then like to be
Well,
continued happens?
issue wise, it's all one through all through the thing. But volume, it may be talking about the graphic novels because eventually what they do is they take like a bunch of comic books and stick it into a graphic novel, which contains comic books inside.
Okay, that makes sense. Um,
It's definitely one of the formats I think comic books should pick up is having more of a graphic novel than just individual comics because one, it'd be cheaper for the people buying it
mm-hmm.
and it would be easier. Like I think it would be an easier read for
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. So okay, so what's number two or in the top three? We don't have to register them that way.
Okay, Sonic by IDW. It used to be Archie, but through a whole bunch of stuff they lost the rights to Sonic.
So again, 2017.
Yeah, because Archie Comics used to have it and they screwed up big time and lost the rights to produce Sonic. So
Oh,
IDW picked it up after.
interesting. And so IDW is going up against Marvel and DC.
Kinda like Marvel and DC have their own characters. IDW has been picking up a lot of like cartoon stuff. Like they have Transformers, and a few other old cartoon things that they put into comic. I think they even do My Little Pony. I think it's IDW. Either
Okay.
that or it's Boom Studios. One of the two.
Interesting. All right, so Sonic, is that just because it's your favorite?
He's always been my favorite. I would say 99% of all of Archie comic, and now I have at least almost 100% of IDW.
That's
It's an
crazy.
all-time favorite.
Why does this? Okay, so I just saw this, right? Genre. It says horror and psychological thriller.
That's weird.
So it says horror issues 13 through 29, and then 49 through 56 is psychological thriller with imposter syndrome and
I
Scrapnik Island.
I mean, I guess as horror as Sonic's gonna get, it's not gonna be like, Goose. Well, I guess it's gonna be like Goosebumps level sort of thing.
Got it.
Because I don't know if I would describe those comics as horror.
That makes sense. Um, okay, and
That's
so
just
all the
very weird.
typical characters. Any new characters?
Um, there's some new characters. There's just whatever comes usually with being on a new platform. You get the traditional Sonic or whatever, but then there's like some characters they just make up for the platform.
Psychological horror miniseries and spin off of the main series focus on Sonic and Tails trapped on an island full of dissussed badniks who call themselves Scrapniks.
Mm. So there's no like freedom fighters, but there's kind of freedom fighters. Like it's all variation stuff.
Got it. All right, and what's the third one in your top three?
Um, it used to be Batman Beyond, but from what I understand, they're not making any more currently.
Mm-hmm.
But either Batman Beyond or like Tank Girl. Tank Girl is old and still around.
It's a British comic book.
It used to be. It's the same dude who does Gorillas
Okay.
to draw Tank Girl, and then went on to Gorillas, and then the title of Tank Girl went on to a whole bunch of different artists and stuff. Like he still owns the rights and stuff, but
Okay, so it says IDW publishing from May to August of 2007. So
yeah.
that's when Tank Girl left. Or left. That's where she left the set. No, that's where it ended, it looks like. Or is
Yeah,
it
like
still current?
they have some self-publishing stuff. They've done some Kickstarter stuff. Like it's kind of all over. It's I guess whoever wants to pick it up at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, May to August for IDW publishing. I mean, that's just enough to do one little series and that's it.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. And either it gets picked up by the same company or they just go with a different publisher. And so it's Tank Girl's kind of all over the place.
And why do you like Tank Girl?
It was like the first weird comic that I read. Actually, I think the movie is the first thing I saw, and which is really not even close to the books.
Okay.
But I remember seeing the movie, liking it, and then I was like, "Oh wait, there's a comic." Enjoyed that a hell of a lot more.
So it's a post-apocalyptic comic series.
Yeah, and
Ravaged Australia years after a catastrophic impact event and follows the anti-hero Tank Girl as she, Jet Girl, and Rippers fight water and power as oppressive corporation led by McDowell. Does that make sense to you?
yes, they are
Okay.
mutated kangaroo.
Oh, of course they are.
And I believe Tank Girl and one of the mutated kangaroos has a kid eventually,
Oh my
but they
god.
definitely have a relationship.
Oh my god.
It's very
Well,
weird.
yeah. Right up your alley. So it sounds like comic books is what got you said into tracing, which got you into coloring. Um, so explain to me kind of your process as far as drawing. Like have you always you traced, or have you always drawn, or have you always colored? Like what's the events?
So, like, when I say traced, it's a little bit different than putting like the paper on the book and just tracing it that way. I would look at the comic book page and then try to redraw it on the side. So that's like kind of what tracing came to, and I did that for the longest time until I started drawing for myself. And then actually the way this is how I also got the nickname Gizmo, and which led to a whole part like my characters and all that, is I used to have a packet of gel pens that I carried around,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to draw on people's arms in high school.
Okay.
So, and my book bag had actually Gizmo from the Gremlins on the back. So
Mm-hmm.
people who wanted stuff drawn on the arm that didn't know who I was would just call me Gizmo. So this is where the name comes from. And I used to take, I have somewhere film somewhere stored in one of our boxes, because I used to take pictures of all the drawings I did on people's arms or my arm. But unfortunately, it's the day and age of film, and they have to be, uh,
Right.
produced. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get that done at a cheap price.
Yeah, my mom sent me back all of my stuff that was in her friend's basement. When she cleaned out my room and made a guest room, she put everything in these boxes and then put them in the basement of her friend's house. So I went there last time I was in Jersey, and I was like, let me get all of my stuff back. And so I did, and I sent a $250 5 boxes, and I just went through them, and some of the stuff is like I found MapQuest, I found all my old cell phones, but specifically I found camera stuff, like old film, and I was like, I couldn't even get this developed if I tried. Like I would
Yeah, it would
have
take
to
a
go
specialty place.
right. Like I can't just go to the Walgreens and get my 24-hour photo done. So yeah, I can relate to that. But okay, so gel pens and stuff like that. Let's look up gel pens. I want to know when they came out because I remember gel pens, the gel inks. Yeah.
Yeah, some of them don't run like they used to. Like the newer ones are very different feel than the old ones. Kind of
Okay.
hard to say, but like they used to be less, I guess, permanent and more erasable.
Okay.
Um, but the gel pens just ran differently on skin than the newer ones do.
Yeah,
The
for
newer ones
sure.
feel more like ink than like, I don't know, gel. Is weird to say.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, late 1980s was the Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
And then Crayola began producing pens with thicker bodies and marketing them to children. And they're, yeah, metallic sparkles and fluorescent colors. Yeah, that's what I remember
Yep.
them. This is
And people used to donate pens too. They would just give me they're like, "Oh, I don't want this. Here, you guys take it." I was like, "Okay."
yeah. I remember doing a lot of good drawings on paper. I didn't draw on people's bodies, but on paper with gel pens. So, okay, so you're drawing tracing, but it's not tracing over one on top of each other. It's like eyeing it.
Yeah.
And you got your name Gizmo because of your backpack. So, where does the comic book creation come in? I mean,
Well, being interested in comic books, I wanted to know how to draw them, so I went to art class. Unfortunately, the art teacher I had was more of a fine artist, and comic book art was exactly looked on as like the greatest thing when I was younger. So I used to always try to veer towards fine art stuff, and I used to try to veer towards comic. Give you an example. One time he said, "Find a photo that you can find, bring it in, and we'll paint it." And I always wanted to paint or draw comic book characters. He's like, "No, you have to do this." So at the time, Spawn came out. So I took a picture of the movie Spawn. I brought it in, and he was like, "Fine," and I painted Spawn.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. What a big fuck
So,
you to the teacher too.
so like, if he would have just like helped me develop the skills, I don't think I would have bucked his head so much with trying to do what I wanted to. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like, be like, here, fine art is part of what you do, and this is how you work together to make it work, as opposed to like, we're not doing.
Right. Yeah. Spawn. That's so funny that you chose Spawn.
And then
First.
there was another painting where I came up with an Alice in Wonderland picture, and in the instead of just painting like her dress, it would be actual very small words of the book. So in the dress and in the table was just actual words, and as you stepped away, you couldn't see the words. It'd be more of the color of the table and stuff.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I just looked up Alice in Wonderland. I was trying to think. That's weird. I was trying to think of, yeah, Alice in Wonderland video game, which was weird.
Yeah, the
That
Alice.
was weird. Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah,
Alice in Wonderland, and
that's
then
actually the character herself, not Disney designed anyway, is public domain, so anyone.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's public domain now.
So
And
is Winnie
Winnie
the
the
Pooh now.
Pooh, as long as he
Yeah.
doesn't have the red shirt.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Pan. A lot of the old fairy tales are, as long as you just don't use Disney version of what they are.
Right, exactly. So let's talk more about your schooling with art, right? So, um, you went to art school, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what did you come out with on the other end of that?
How to hijack program.
What a what?
How to hijack program.
Oh, okay. So you mean not program on computer, of the program like
No.
the art program,
Yeah. Art school is very weird because there's a lot of it that was informative, but I feel like because the fact that my school no longer exists,
right?
or at least in the place that I went no longer exists, I think it was on the decline of being really shady because
Okay.
the people that were there before me got really high praise, did all these things, and as I started doing classes, I was talking to previous people, and we're not doing the same thing anymore. It seemed to be less, and it seemed to be like more of just pushing out people, just taking their money.
Oh
So
no.
I did get a lot of education as far as how like things work, program. It's like my first introduction to Photoshop. Like there's a lot of stuff in there. But like the portfolio I handed in, looking back at it now, I shouldn't have gotten into the school, but because at that time they were just starting to take people's money, they let kind of like anyone in. So
Okay.
the learning process was a bit difficult because they showed you a lot of things, but they never really showed you how to add it together. So they would show you 3D, you animation, they would show you all this, and then they'd expect you to figure out how to put it yourself together and come out with a portfolio.
Hmm.
So it was kind of weird. And then for like, I think 3 quarters, they thought I was a different program altogether. So I got the wrong classes.
Oh no.
Legal, we went into the legal part where you're supposed to learn about copyright. The first words out of the lawyer's mouth that were teaching the class, I know nothing about copyright, and I knew more about copyright than
You wait. You knew more about copyright than they did?
yeah, and they're the lawyer.
Oh my god.
And then we had like a resume part. Like, who? You don't need a resume, you need a portfolio. So like,
Right.
as the years went on, it got weirder and things started to break down. But I still learned like animation, sound, like a lot of like the basic stuff. But I kind of wish it would have went a little bit different.
Interesting. So, I mean, you have the capability. Will you have the capability in the next 10 years? Will you want to do like a online class just for specific things? Are you interested in still learning? Or are you interested more in just developing your talents as you see them?
I'm very interested in learning more stuff. Actually, recently I've been considering taking certain classes, especially like for coloring, design, and development and stuff along that, because I feel like they at that time they thought I was in a different program. They substituted some of the classes out for still keeping credits and stuff, but I feel like I missed a good chunk of what I was supposed to get from that. So there's been a debate. I've been talking with a few of my art friends, seeing what they think if it would be worth it or just trying to figure it out on my own. But all the time, I'm looking for new ways of trying to learn and develop the skills that I have because I would like more. Because the more skills you have, the more you can do.
Right. No, that makes sense. And the fun and the work kind of blend together, right? So you'd be doing
Very much
stuff
so.
for commission, but you're also doing something that you love.
Yeah. And like, I definitely have a different take on when people say, "Oh, if you do what you do what you like for work, it's never work." It's
Right.
a lie. It's always work.
It's
It's
always
just
work.
It's but you're willing to bend over backwards for it because it's
Right.
something you have feelings and passion about, and you're willing to put in the hours to the point of where someone's yelling at you to take a break. So
Yeah.
like it's different. Like yeah, it's not work, but it is work. But it's
Mhm.
not the same work as going like to shop. Which I'm not saying that's a bad job, but like if you're not into it, you're not into
No, I was definitely not into ShopRite.
it.
Can speak from experience. You know, you could say like she's into Barbie, like she's not into ShopRite. She's not at all. It was a job, whatever. So we've got comics and we've got a little basis of your ability to do art. Although I would like to go through your portfolio or like what you have online.
Yeah.
Um, but we'll do that in a little bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about. Let's see. So we've got collecting books. We've done. What about pizza?
I like to no matter what so far.
Ew, don't
Um,
say that. You have to have a specific pizza. You are jaded, sir, with the pizza of New Jersey. I don't want to hear that you like any pizza.
well, it's like I don't hate a pizza. There are pizzas I do like better than others, but there's not like, oh, I will not eat that pizza. If you give me a free pizza, I'll eat it. I don't care where it comes from. Like if I'm not paying for it, you give me a friggin' Domino's pizza or less, I will still eat that pizza.
I just get wings. Like I can't do it.
Like,
I'm such a pizza snob, and everybody knows it. And just everybody's like, "Oh, we want to get a pizza." I'm like, "Is it Pizza Hut?" It's like, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, I'll get their wings." They're
I
like,
mean, if you
"What?"
does Pizza Hut still have that weird butter sauce, or is that Domino? See, this is how long it's been since I had
I
Pizza
know,
Hut.
right? I don't think they give you the butter sauce anymore. Maybe they do.
Oh,
Galvas would know, but I don't remember which one it is. We haven't ordered pizza. Like we've ordered Pizza Hut a few times, but again, I get the wings. But
yeah.
like, we don't order Domino's because Domino's isn't available in our section of the air, like where we live.
Okay.
So
But
I
people like talk about like someone asked me today, would you eat pizza with anchovies? I would say like my first action was to say no, but I've never had it, so I can't say that I hate it because like I guess I'll try it, but I can't guarantee I'll like it.
right. I would be the type, and this is me because Galvos brings home pizza every Friday, and from his work they always get pizza, and so he brings home 4 slices. He eats half the pie, and it's not a big pie, so that's not me saying he eats half the pie.
Yeah.
I'm just saying he does. And then he has 2 pieces for him and 2 pieces for me. But he always friggin' gets pepperoncinis on this goddamn pizza. And it's not like the pizza's for me. I want him to enjoy the pizza that he has.
Yeah.
But at the same token, I sit there and I pick off every peppercini after every bite, looking for them, scouring through the pizza because I don't want to eat the pepperoncinis. So I guess you could say I'll eat some pizza, even if they have quote unquote anchovies on them or something that I don't really like.
Yeah.
But you're going to see me picking them off. My dad
See,
once picked out the peas in a pea soup because he didn't want to offend his mother in law.
oh jeez.
She was already offended that he was picking out the peas. It
Yeah.
didn't matter.
No, I think like you're pretty much as soon as you're being spot doing that, you're done.
Right, right. But yeah, pizza. Again, you guys are just jaded with pizza. I go home and I love, love, love pizza. We always get
We have,
big
if
stuff.
you ever come to around this area, we have a pizza place called Al's. So far, anything I get from this place is fantastic. They
Ooh.
have pizza. They have garlic knots the size of your hand.
Yes.
It's like it might as well just be bread because they're not just small garlic knots. They're just giant things.
You remember
So
Luigi garlic knots?
bigger than that.
Yeah, I know they're bigger than that, but do you remember them? They're so good.
Yes.
They were the best
Uh,
garlic knots I've ever had from any place ever.
yes.
Yeah.
And I think my default pizza is like pepperoni and bacon. But
Hmm.
I will go anywhere. That's usually like this, especially if you're not sure about the place you're ordering from. That's usually like kind of like the safe default.
Yeah. Yeah, if I'm gonna get pizza from like Pizza Hut or like wherever, I mainly get like barbecue sauce instead of the marinara,
Okay.
chicken, onions, and barbecue chicken and onions. I think that's it. That's what I get. And I'll be like, okay, this isn't pizza. This is bread with barbecue sauce, but that's fine because it's not. I'm not putting it in the pizza category. I'm such a pizza snob. It's disgusting. I can't help it. I was born in New Jersey, damn it. But that's so funny. Yeah, you remind me of the Ninja Turtles that way too with
I
your
was gonna
pizza
say
love.
I think that's what ruined me is the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, they made pizza look damn good. With
Didn't
the,
matter what they had.
I know, with the extra cheese like coming out. Oh my god, it's so good, so good. Okay, so I was told that the Italian pizza is actually not as good as American pizza.
That I haven't had. I don't. Maybe. Maybe they just do it different.
I think they do it differently, and Americans are just like, this isn't as good because it's not Americanized.
Yeah.
But oh my god, yes! Look at that crust. Look at that fucking crust. That's how crust should look. Anybody out there looking at the screen, that's right here exactly how the crust should look at all
Okay.
time.
There's this one pizza that I've had. Someone created, was testing around, and I've never had it again. But it's pizza with pasta with pesto on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best pizza I've ever had, and unfortunately, the place closed down and everyone disappeared, and I will never have it again. But he was experimenting around, and we used to go there so much. He'd be like, "Hey, you want to test a pizza for me?" And the answer is never no.
Right, right. I will test any pizza. Yeah, I've always liked chicken Alfredo pizza.
Yeah.
That's really good. With the pasta, like I'll have
Mm,
it with the penne on it.
yeah.
And that's really good. But oh my god, that crust though. I just have to come back to that. Roll that beautiful bean footage, like. Oh, okay. So we've got different images of different types. Oh, clam pie. No, that's a no.
What is? Uh,
It's probably
what is
something your
that?
mom would love.
Oh, it's New England. It's just New England clam chowder on top of pizza.
Pizza version of the covered pie served in New England since colonial times. This was back
Yes.
first attested in 1950.
Someone just spills soup on bread and went like, "Oh, wait, we could do this."
Right, a pizza. Okay, so this is Italian pizza. Like the crust is very doughy, and I don't know what's going on here, but
How's that bread holding?
exactly ham, mushrooms, artichoke, and eggs.
Okay. I guess.
Then Hawaiian pizza, 1962. Pizza margarita, 1980s. Naples represent. Um. So then they pizza marinara. That's just no cheese.
See, like the Hawaiian one. if you don't do it right, it just tastes like pineapple just went all over you. Like
Yeah.
if you do it right, it tastes good, but if you don't, it's just like pineapple juice all over your pizza.
Yeah, especially if you're using canned pineapple, it's all soupy.
Yeah.
Yeah, tomato, onion, and mozzarella. I'd eat that. Prepared using 4 kinds of cheese, mozzarella, gorgonzola, and 2 others depending on the region. Okay.
Whatever you feel like sticking in there.
And then another artichokes. Why is there artichokes on my fucking pizza?
I don't know.
And then finally, seafood such as fish or shellfish or squid. Would you
I
eat
feel
squid
like
on a pizza?
I don't know. I feel like that would be harder to do properly without it.
Yeah. Oh, see, this is bullshit. Chicago style pizza should not be a pizza. It shouldn't. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you're gonna call Chicago style a pizza, call it a casserole. That's my only request. That's my only request, is that just don't put it in the pizza category. I know that it's got the crust sometimes stuffed with cheese or other ingredients or whatever. It is a casserole.
But that Chicago one in the picture looks like a tart.
Right, that's how they do it, especially in what is the place called? I can't think of it. Galvus would know. JJ's or Jets. Jets Pizza. Jets has this Chicago style pizza that looks pretty much similar to that, and he loves it, and I think it's trash. Detroit style pizza, same thing. Fucking casserole. It's even in a casserole dish. You want to see me get heated, Gizmo? Let's talk about pizza for a minute.
That deep fried one looks questionable.
Yeah, the cheese.
What is going on there?
I don't know. I feel like the cheese would be all weird, and I don't know. Is that olives, maybe?
I feel like they don't know how to make pizza.
I wouldn't deep fry a pizza, I don't think.
That doesn't even look deep fried. That just looks not finished.
This doesn't look bad. I don't really care for tomatoes, but I do like feta and onions and olives. A nice Greek pizza. Okay, here we go. Jumbo slice. I can't scroll down for you, unfortunately, but you can look at it in the small picture. That right there. Oh, New York and Washington, D.C. Oh, I didn't realize Washington, D.C. did the jumbo slices as well. And then this baby. Slice of thin crust New York style pizza to go. One folded traditional partially. Yeah, you can see that here. Partially folded. Only style of pizza that matters. And then there's this abomination called St. Louis style pizza, where they cut it in, they use Provel, which I don't know if you know what Provel is, but it's like a type of provolone that like tastes like absolute shit. I don't know how else to explain it.
Okay.
It's used I think with mozzarella, Provel, Parmesan cheese, and something else. And it's like a thin cracker crust, and it's cut into squares or rectangles instead of wedges, and it uses this really shitty cheese. Would you eat it?
I would try it. It looks weird, but I'd give it at least a shot.
So which one of these pizzas would you not eat? Like, what? I don't know. Provel is provolone as Velveeta is to cheddar.
I would say out of the picture wise, the deep fried one has me questioning whether that's finished or not.
Yeah.
Like that one kind of looks a little sus to me.
I agree with that. Grandma pizza in Long Island. That doesn't look bad.
No, I think Grandma Pizza, because Al's has this. It's just basically square pizza.
Right. Remnants of pizza cooked at home with Italian housewives without a pizza oven. Interesting. Long Island. What is this, though? It looks like steak. It's called a tomato pie.
Here. I think they just uploaded their own picture.
No, I think that's legitimately it. Made from thick dough covered by tomato paste, also called pizza strips when cut in the image, gravy pie, church pie, red bread, party pizza, etc.
Kind of looks like ham.
It's
What am I looking at?
it's so gross. I don't know. I wouldn't eat it, but I definitely wouldn't eat. Oh, I've had Colorado pizza. That's pretty good because it's served with honey.
Oh, I've never had that.
Yeah, honey in the crust, and the crust is extra crispy,
Uh,
which is good. There needs to be more pizza in the pizza, but the crust itself is actually good enough to have a side of honey.
that's.
Yeah, next time you have a pizza and you have honey around, just try a slice of with the bread with the honey. It's really good.
I will do that.
Okay, so now I've talked enough about pizza. I don't know about you. I've completely stolen the show with
The,
pizza.
the only thing I would say is the one thing that the delivery service or like the fast foodish pizza used to do is the stuffed crust pizza that I used to really like. That was
Mm-hmm.
really good.
Yeah, stuffed crust is
Unfortunately,
good.
like that never really adopted to traditional pizza places,
Mm-hmm.
but I wish it was something that they would do.
I agree with that. That would be deliciouser than what we're dealing with. But I mean, just order extra cheese on the main pizza and you're good. Throw it over the crust. You're fine. You've got your extra cheese. Oh, pizza. Okay. So we went to comics. Let's go back. I needed to refresh after talking about comics and stuff. And then we talked about pizza. I got all heated. I forgot to talk about manga. So let's talk about manga. So, and this, by the way, will be recorded onto a YouTube that you can show your mother at any time. So, I'm sure she will love this, as my mother will as well. Okay, so manga. So, what? Give me some manga that you're interested in. What got you into manga?
um, I have like what got me into it is just basically comic books, and then they just started showing up in bookstores, which I like traveling to like Barnes and Nobles and Borders, I guess at the time is there no more.
Right.
Um, but they used to be like just they're basically just comic books too, just smaller and then
Backwards?
and backwards. Well, seeing how I used to spell backwards, reading backwards is fine by me.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, manga is weird because in the way that it is Americanized in some way because you have to be able to read what they're saying, but it's
Yeah,
still traditional in that you'll read it backwards and the art is close to the same.
yeah.
So I think that's
Depending on the comic could be edited. Yeah, pretty much.
right, right. Because I'm looking at the picture of whatever the heck this is, and um, obviously all the writing is top down. And
Yeah.
so that sort of thing. And so I'm thinking, how do you make a bubble that size and still Americanize it?
It depends on what's in it, and then they would either change how it's depending on like what they're saying. They would either directly translate it, or if they're going for like a saying that's close to their culture, they would pick something that would be close to the American culture or wherever it's being translated to.
That's really cool. I like how they have the eye for anime and manga. I don't know what this eye.
Yeah, I don't know why they use the eye to represent it, but like it's because it's considered anime eyes.
Oh, okay,
It's how you draw anime.
got it. Um, so okay, so what's your top three here?
Full Metal Alchemist is like down probably one of my number ones. Uh, that is a great story, and it's really long, but it's a great story. They
They have a
do
movie, don't they?
they have an anime and a live action. I have not seen the live action movie, but the anime is weird because they have two different kind of versions. The first one is before the book was finished, and the animated series went in a different direction towards the end, and then they remade the rest of the anime according to the actual book.
Okay,
So if you're watching this series, I would recommend watching the first series like halfway through and then breaking off and watching the newer one because the second version already assumes the first.
So live action was released in 2017. Um,
So it's basically about two boys trying to bring their mother back from the dead,
got it.
and in doing so, lost his younger brother's body and half of his arm in the process. He rebind his brother's soul to armor that was nearby while they were trying their mother back from the dead,
Okay.
and it kind of goes from there. And uh, it tugs at a lot of heartstrings. It's a very good series.
Yeah, I know that Galvos really likes Full Metal Alchemist. And I think my brother is a big fan too. Um, so that one's definitely a popular one. Did you read this first? Was it an anime first?
I think I was reading it and watching it at the same time. I didn't get to the end of the book series till after the animated because, like I said, the first animated was finished before the book series was.
Okay.
Um, so I finished the anime series, and then when I read the book, I'm like, the book's ending is a lot better than what they showed in the animated series, and apparently, I guess everyone else thought so because they made a whole second series for that.
Right. Okay. What's your second one?
Cowboy Bebop.
Oh yeah.
I think the animated series is longer than the books. The book series is only like a few books, and the animated series is kind of really long. But the book series is just as fun. But it's another deep anime that kind of hits you.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's one of the few animes that I've actually seen. I didn't read it, but I've actually seen the TV show because Galvos was like, "We're gonna make you watch some culture." I was like, "Well, I guess." So Cowboy Bebop was the first one that I saw, and I really liked it. And I really liked the opening, and I really liked the corgi.
The corgi. Oh, I love the corgi. Also, the music to this is fantastic.
Yep,
I do like the jazz, smooth, all over the place music that they have. It's fantastic.
I agree. Yeah, I really like the jazz to it. And I just
I
love
think
their characters.
Yeah, I think this is one of the last, like this set of anime and stuff, maybe a little bit after this, was before what I consider a lot of generic anime, of where it's a lot of characters that look the same, a lot of the storyline, even though some of the writing is still very good. I'm not saying the stories are bad, but they start to almost run into each other as far as what they look like.
Right.
And um, I think that's why a lot of people like the older anime stuff too, because it was just animation with characters. It wasn't just the generic of like anime character, so to speak.
Right, right. The big eyes and the
Yeah, like they
big
still
old
kind of have.
titties.
Yeah, that too. I mean, like Ed still has like the big eyes. So does Faye,
Right.
but like it's not the they have. You can tell who they are, and some of
Mm-hmm.
the newer ones, if you lined them up with a bunch of other ones, unless you're a devoted fan, you're not telling the difference.
Yeah.
The lineup. Kind of sad.
Yeah, that is. So what is your third one?
FLCL, Fully Cooley. This anime manga, you have to watch and read at least 5 times because you will see things and catch they're talking about that you will not see the first time around. Uh, I can't speak to the newer one. I know they made newer episodes like way later on. I didn't get to watch those yet, but the older one, um, there's a lot of like double meaning of what they're talking about. So they're talking about what's actually going on, but if you listen to the situation and what they're saying something else on top of that.
Got
And
it.
a lot of the images they show, a lot of the other stuff they show in it is just a lot of double meaning. The only thing I never figure out from this series is what they were talking about with the eyebrows. I don't get it at all. I never did. I tried so hard, but I don't know what they're talking about.
What's the premise?
They just go his eyebrows and they point it out constantly and I don't know what it refers to.
It could
It-
just be like them saying like his muscles, but it's probably just like his eyebrows, like just infatuation with something weird.
maybe or like maybe it's a culture thing that I just don't get. Like
That's
I
true.
tried so hard to like rewatch the episodes and every time it comes up it's like I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know why it's there.
Yeah, some girls get obsessive over eyebrows, especially their own eyebrows and all that stuff. So if it's prim proper eyebrows or whatever the case, it could definitely
Well,
be along those lines as well. But I've never seen it, so I can't speculate that hard.
some of it I think is tied to being an adult because one of the characters, his eyebrows are clearly taped on. And
Okay.
I think it's referred to like he's not being as mature. So I'm not sure if that's the only reason or like there's more. But given the fact that there's like always double meaning to most of the stuff in the show, I was always figuring it meant more than just he's just not mature enough. But I don't know. I have no idea.
I liked how they said the first episode of SLCL was unannounced on April Fool's Day 2018 on
Yeah,
Toonami in Japanese with English subtitles.
it
What?
is a very weird, wacky show. And when you watch it, you're just like, what? Like, she pulls creatures and things out of his forehead.
Oh, okay.
And she may be an alien,
She may
maybe
be an
not.
alien. FLCO was formative for me, says Galvos. Uh, uh,
Like, there's a lot going on in there.
so, 2 additional seasons were ordered by Adult Swim.
Yeah,
Both seasons will premiere in 2023.
yeah. I think they're already out. I just didn't get to watch them, so I don't know how they are.
All right. Well, get back to us on that because I'm curious.
It's just, if you watch this series, you'll watch the full run of it and go, "What?" And then when you watch it again, you've only seen the first thing. Watch it, watch the whole thing all the way through, and then you'll be confused. And when you watch it again, you'll pick up on things you didn't notice, especially because you know kind of like what's going on.
Yeah, that
A lot of
makes.
home run and baseball implications.
Love this. This makes sense to me. I totally understand what's happening. 100%. It's definitely not over my head even a little bit. Um, all right, so drawing, coloring. Okay, so watching speed running. So this one made me laugh. So this is not uncommon that people like this speed running stuff.
Yes,
I,
GDQ.
I love how everybody's like, you used to called it speed running stuff, but like I'm so out of the loop when it comes to speed running. So tell me about this.
Okay, so I got into speedrunning through GDQ. GDQ is Games Done Quick. They also do two huge major charities a year, which they pick a charity like and any of the bigger ones, and they usually raise like few hundreds to thousands to way over charity money for these. It's GDQ is fantastic. Um, but basically, speedrunning is kind of like breaking the game, finishing the game as fast as possible.
Okay.
So that's either depending on what category you're on, it could be 100% completion. It could be just as fast as you can do it. It could be without glitches. So some games, depending new or old, have glitches where you can like phase through walls, and you can figure out how to get to the end of the game without actually playing some parts of the game.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of how fast you get one of these games done. And you may know the game inside and out, but if you watch a good speedrunner, you could be watching a totally different kind of game depending on what they're doing to it.
Hmm.
So like I said, some of them have like clipping through walls, and if you do a certain amount of like jumps and do this, you can skip through walls, you can get to the stage, and you can be done in 2 minutes instead of playing a 5 minute stage. And then you just time yourself and see how fast you can actually beat the game. Like Elden Rings. Watch Elden Ring on speed running. It is crazy what people do. The fact that some people walk around with like no armor and just
Yeah.
kill bosses, amazing.
Now, charity marathon. I like this. So, internet connectivity problems at the Magfest Force Hotel forced SDA Administrator Mike to relocate his events to his mother residence, but it raised over $10,000 for care.
Yeah,
Incorporating newer games such as Halo and Portal, $50,000 to prevent cancer. Um,
they do it. Like I said, they do it twice a year. There's SGDQ, which is Summer's games done quick, and then they do one in the winter. And usually I donate at least like 10, $20 or whatever I can at the time
Right.
to the running. They give away stuff like people donate like pictures and like crafts and stuff just so they could try to raise money for this. When they do GDQ, they do have incentives. Like if you get $100,000, we can do like a no, like you can pick a character, or you can do a no clips run, or whatever the incentive is, and it's all for charity. And they've been really good at doing that and being on the up and up of. So
Okay,
it's a
so
nice event.
the winter event was intended to be, oops, my bad, an in-person event held in Orlando, but was moved into a virtual event after controversies due to the Florida state government's stance on LGBT rights and COVID-19.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this year was the first year they did it back live because of the pandemic. They
Hmm.
had to do it digitally, which was kind of good. Not the pandemic, but them doing it digitally,
Right.
because it opened up a lot of people being able to do speed runs from different parts of the world that couldn't do it by being there in person. So
Right.
now they do a mixture of in person and digital. So I think it was nice.
Yeah. Prevent Cancer Foundation is what they mainly go for.
Yeah.
That's great. They raised 3 million 2022.
Yep. And it keeps almost going up every single year they do it.
That's nuts. So, okay, so these players, right? What hmm who gets chosen to play this? Like what is
So each video game basically has their own group and committee, and they usually have like a leaderboard of like where you go and post like, oh, this is my top speed. You have to record it obviously, because you can't just be like, oh, I beat your score and just take the
right,
word for it.
right.
So they record it, show it, it gets put on leaderboard, and then when for GDQ you basically have to submit like your video plus like some dialogue you would talk about the game or what you're doing, and then they choose marathon or what game or go into the marathon.
But you can only do quick so many games,
Well,
right?
like kind of like some games they find new tricks for, like old games they find new things for. Everything from like Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, PlayStation 5, you know,
Would
plays
you like speed run Conker's Bad Fur Day? Like I feel like there are games
yeah.
that you just don't speed run.
Well, it depends if there's people in, but Bad Fur Day, I think they had it on this year's was it this year or last year? They had it recently, I think.
Interesting.
And they do everything from like Mega Man to Zelda to like just like they have a horror block, so it's a bunch of like horror games, or they have like one, or they have like just really really weird games, and
Yeah.
then people show off tricks. They try to be. Sometimes they hit world records on the show. Um, they do have things where things crash, and they usually called it like con luck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because things that normally don't happen usually during runs during GDQ.
Oh
It's actually
no.
become a thing.
Oh no. Hogwarts
So
Legacy was added to the list of games disallowed for run submissions.
yeah,
Interesting.
Hogwarts, because Hogwarts
Right.
causing issues
Right.
for a lot
Controversial
of
for
people.
transgender history and stuff. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
find that interesting that the GDQ seems to make such a stance against they were talking about not going into Orlando and not doing Hogwarts Legacy. Like to me that makes me feel and doing charities that makes me feel like a really good organization is here. Like that's a really positive image.
yeah. It's like even watching stuff that people talk about watching kids and stuff. They're like, it's a huge event, and I ran across it just by accident one day, and then like whenever the like they have a Twitch channel that you can watch. They have like different shows that when they're not doing the events, they have different shows and stuff. They have Femme Fatale, which is a bunch of women doing speedrunning game. They have like a whole bunch of different stuff, but like I mostly watch the main event stuff. Like right now they're doing Blue Fire. They're speedrunning Blue Fire. I have no idea what Blue Fire is, but that's what they're doing.
Okay. All right. Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Some games take like 4 hours to speedrun. It's freaking crazy. It's just amazing. And watching people speedrun things is just it's a very different way of watching played. Especially you missing dialogue, you're skipping through things, and people do weird stuff. Sometimes it's total glitches and weird stuff happens, and if they don't do it correctly, it could crash the game. It's
Interesting.
crazy, but it's fun.
Yeah, I was reading up on this. Various runners, including Luz, were scheduled to run a relay playthrough hours before Luz's Twitter bio went viral for his comments that he hates feminism, identifies as Demian binary, and uses the pronouns Luz and Luz. Other online news publications negatively reacted to the GDQ organizations allowing Luz to play the relay playthrough. Luz was given a ban without details about its length. Again, I really like this this place. I
Yeah,
really do.
I don't like I donate to charities when I can. I don't usually do it through organizations all that much because of questionable practices through people. But this is one that I kind of trust that when I donate, it's going where it says it does, for good reason. Enjoy this.
Sorry, I was still reading.
No, that's okay. Read away.
Somebody's ban was due over a MAGA hat. Supposedly wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat on stream. However, according to them, a ban was revoked since it's not actually a MAGA hat, but GDQ officials banned him again for supposedly unplugging the power strip cable. Another speedrunner was also banned from the event for owning the MAGA hat in the first place. That's crazy. That I feel like it's a little too overreaching. Like, everybody has their political views, but in the same token, it's your
Yeah,
company, so you do what you want to do.
yeah. I mean, like I feel like sometimes they're maybe all overly cautious, but they've been doing so well. I feel like they feel it's necessary. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it's a fine line for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
All right, so we're talking about speedrunning. Let's talk about video games.
Yeah.
So, I, for those of you who don't know, I used to go over Gizmo's house when I was younger and watch him play video games because my older brother wouldn't let me play with his system. He also wouldn't let me play with the other kids next door to Gizmo's. So me and my friend Derek went over Gizmo's and we would watch him play video games, and sometimes he'd let us play. Not sometimes, he'd let us play often.
We
But
almost broke my floor.
who did, Derek?
No, we did. Remember we used to play Dance Dance in my room?
Oh, that's right.
And at one point we got worried that we
The
would fall
floor.
through the floor because we were stomping so hard. Yeah, we kind of took a break on that game for a while because we were kind of worried.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Hi, Andy. Welcome on in.
Hello.
That is so funny and so true. So yeah, I would go over his house and then we play video games, and it would be a grand old time. So tell me the evolution of your video game loving.
This is also something I've been meaning to ask my mom of how I got into Nintendo because I'm not sure how like my interest got into it. I just remember getting it for Christmas. I also got eventually got a Sega. I think it was a Sega.
Okay.
Somehow I convinced my mom that I would do speed runs of one of the video games. I think it was either Mario or Sonic. It's like I could keep playing it over and see how fast I could do it. I never did that.
Played and then done.
Yeah.
On to the next one.
But yeah, there was a lot of Nintendo. I also remember playing Rampage, and as a young kid, I was trying to beat that game, and I even left it on overnight to try to beat it. Eventually, my mom shut it off, and I was all upset. But I come to learn later on, when I'm way, way older, that that game doesn't have an ending.
Oh
It
no.
just keeps regenerating levels. So like I could have been playing for like months and never reached any kind of ending to that game.
Oh my god. What was the game that we really... I bring this up all the friggin' time, so you should know the name of it by now. With the drug use and all that stuff.
Oh,
Galarians?
Galarians, yes.
I'm gonna look that up, because I want to see
That
if it's
is
on here.
that is something they will never remake.
So for those of you who don't know, it's a survival horror game for PlayStation. He has amnesia, and in the process of learning his identity, he discovers that he is humanity's last hope for survival against the Galarians, genetically enhanced humans. The game has a sequel, which is not very good. Okay.
No. Because like the premise is that like his powers would make him go crazy. He would get headaches. People's heads would explode around you.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to like mellow yourself out, you're either injecting yourself with something or you're taking pills.
Yep.
Yeah. It was a very weird game.
Because the number of vials of these drugs present in the game is finite, conservation is important. His offensive power has a 1 to 2 second charge time, making it important to find safe interval before launching an attack. There are 3 gauges, health meters. I'm just trying to figure out where they go into drug use. Reception said an early review, an interesting variation on a theme. Galarian puts a slightly different spin on survival horror genre. It does fall into a few cliches on all fronts and has 1 or 2 questionable trouble spots as well. But overall, it moves smoothly and it draws you in and doesn't let go.
I think 1 or 2 spots is being generous.
I agree. That's so funny. Yeah, they don't even mention all the bad drug use and stuff like that. I mean, it was really obvious. Like, you had to use injections and
there was
pills.
cutscenes for the first time you used any of it.
Right?
There was whole cutscenes of him just injecting. Like, it was weird.
Oh my god, what a game though. But we would go over and watch Gizmo play. That's just how we were.
It was just
give me your top 3 video games.
Oh, that's hard.
I know.
Zelda's I'd say well, I would have to do franchises because like Zelda would definitely be one.
Okay. So and I'll ask Zelda Kentucky. Why the frickin' would you think
Kentucky?
What is wrong with you? My goodness.
We were just looking up games. What makes you think we wanted that?
And then it goes Zelda first name. What are you? What are you even doing here? Get out. Okay, so Legend of Zelda.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, actually, to speak to this, with going back to playing video games as younger, I have a cassette tape of after being like 5 years old, telling my mom how to play Zelda. It was, I guess I must have pushed, because we used to have an old tape recorder, and I used to mess around with it, so I guess I must have pushed it when we were playing Zelda, so I have a whole, like, maybe 5 minutes of telling my mom how to play Zelda on the original Nintendos.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. That's so cute.
So that's why that's one of the famous franchises that I will always buy Zelda, and probably the main reason why I buy Nintendo at all.
Have you played the new one?
I have it, and I haven't played it yet because I just kind of been busy, but I want to play it really bad.
Yeah, I get that. Derek is in love with it. Becca is in love with it.
They just announced 2 amiibos for it for the holiday season, and I will kidnap children for this. So.
Okay, hold you accountable. He did not say that live. We do not know his real name. No, I'm saying that, can you pre-order?
No, not yet. They just, Nintendo Direct was actually this morning, and they just announced it, so it's not even up in stores yet.
Okay.
But they will be coming out with amiibos of it, and it's the only 2 Zelda ones that I don't have, because they're not out yet.
Now, what was I going to say? The Nintendo Direct this morning, I didn't get a chance to see it because I forgot it existed. Besides Pikmin, is there any other surprising new things coming out? Because, I mean, they really, Zelda was really their piece de resistance, so.
A lot of Mario stuff, and for the first time in a while, I'm very interested in Mario games that are out. They have Mario RPG, which is an old Nintendo game that they've never talked about re-releasing ever.
Right.
And they just dropped it today, so that's going to be coming back. They are doing a Princess video game, which looks pretty. I'm interested in that. They're redoing Luigi's Mansion, the original one and putting it on the Switch, which is fun. I think the original one or the second one, whatever it was for the 3DS, is
Oh,
being
okay.
made, and they have Mario Wonder. It's Wonder, and it's Mario tripping on mushrooms.
Wait, for what? What did you say?
It's Mario, I think Wonder, I think it's called,
Right?
but it's Mario tripping on mushrooms.
Like that's your interpretation of it, or like that's really what's happening?
Both.
Okay. Okay.
He takes this flower, things go wiggity, and pipes start moving. He starts growing skinny and tall, and like weird shit starts happening. So he's tripping. Like you just gotta watch the trailer or see any of the images from this to realize like they didn't make it a mushroom, obviously, because
Right.
it'd be too obvious. But it's a flower. It looks like the frost flower where you used to get ice powers.
Right.
Now you get trippy powers.
Oh my
To the
god.
point of where he ate one, took a thing, it was like a tomato-ish sort of thing, and he
Mhm.
turned into an elephant.
Okay.
So yeah, watch the trailer and then yeah, it looks like he's tripping through the. So I'm like, I want to play that game.
Right. That game's awesome. I want to play that. Any other Mario games? Are they adding another expansion to Mario Kart?
Yes, 3 new characters. The little caterpillar guy,
Mhm.
the wizard dude that throws PlayStation
Right.
objects at you.
Right.
The other one. I don't remember the other one. But there's three
That's
new
cool
characters
though.
coming.
So, do you use the characters by unlocking stuff by using the new levels?
I guess so, or they just give it to you. I'm not quite sure. They didn't exactly say. They just said they're coming to the new update.
Okay. Because it's like really at this point the only point that I have Nintendo Online.
Yeah, like they keep dropping free stuff. Though I do play the virtual system. The virtual system, um, it just came out with Kirby's Tilt and Tumble for the Switch. And I'm like, that's neat. I used to want to play that.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like you play a lot more of those games than I do. Like I'm pretty basic bitch when it comes to games. So, pretty white bread. So, when it comes to games like I loved Super Paper Mario. That was my favorite Wii game. If they remade that, I'd be like shut up and take my money.
It's not Paper Mario. It's the one with they're kind of paper, but it's Mario and Luigi. That's on the Switch
Yeah.
under the Game Boy Advance.
No, no, this one is a 3DS game. Like,
Yeah.
is it? No, it's a Wii game. It's from Wii.
Oh well. Okay, so there's a weird thing with the 3DS. Um, I guess if you didn't update your system and you got it modified, there is a website where you can download all free things from the store that no longer exist that you can't buy anywhere else.
Interesting.
Um, but Nintendo, I guess to fight piracy for the games that they don't want to sell that people are throwing money at their faces with,
Right.
um, let out an update on the 3DS that if you mod your system, it bricks.
Oh, wow.
Like, but what? Then why don't you put it in the store so people can buy it? Because obviously people are willing to buy it if they can, but
Right.
you took it away.
Right. Oh my god.
So I don't know. That's weird side.
Yeah. So tell me about Legend of Zelda. Tell me about your love for Zelda.
Um, Zelda's just always been fun. The only time I hated Zelda is when the I'm not gonna because you know who they are, but the person to the left of where I used to live,
Mm-hmm.
I used to go over his house and we used to play Zelda and actually Metroid, except his cousin would play and we would play on this cousin's file. And no matter where I went, he's like, "Oh, my cousin was there." I go, "We go someplace else." "Oh, my cousin." Okay. So after a while, I'm like, "Where did your cousin not go?" "Oh, I don't know." So for the longest time, I hated Metroid and the second Zelda game because like no matter where I went, it was already done.
Right.
So it took me a while to get back into it, but I don't know, just the idea of Zelda and eventually trying to string like theories together with the characters and just stuff going on in it. It captivated my mind, and with Super Nintendo and stuff like that, and the Game Boy version, um, Link's Awakening, it's
Yeah.
just a lot of fun. I enjoyed those,
What was the
and
DS one?
Um.
Link to the Past?
Yeah. No. What's
A
the
Link
past?
Between Worlds.
Yeah. And then they had the rhythm one.
The
I
what?
have that. There's a rhythm one for
Oh
Zelda.
yeah, no, no. I know exactly what you're talking about, and that is not my type of games. I shouldn't scowl at it. Not that it's a bad game.
Oh,
This,
I suck at rhythm games, but I still play it.
well, of course you do. Um, now, what was I going to say? The Link Between Worlds was the only Zelda that I ever finished.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yep. It was to me one of the best Zelda games that I've ever played.
I like that. It was fun.
Yeah,
I beat that one. There's a few of them I haven't beat because some of them I don't own because of they're on Game Boy.
right, right. Well, they'll bring them back, I'm sure.
Well, I spent money on this little device that now sits at my computer desk that hooks in the computer that you can play Game Boy and Game Boy Advance by just putting in the cartridge and then it comes up on the PC.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool.
I love it. And I went to go play an old Ninja Turtles game that I thought like as a kid I had trouble with. As an adult I beat in like 10 minutes. And I'm like, "Oh, this is not as hard as I thought this was."
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Why do they have rupees in here? Fictional currency. Yeah, I know. I guess
Yeah.
they have to be real obvious with some of this stuff. Oh, map of Hyrule and Breath of the Wild, Ocarina of Time map,
Yeah. The
Triforce.
the really neat maps is when people create them in like 3D little sculptures and stuff like that and you get to see like the worlds and stuff. Those are so amazing.
Was it Triforce Heroes?
Yeah, they had like two different versions. I think one for GameCube and one for DS or something like that.
Okay, I'm trying to remember the game though. That was the game for you, and these are all the games that I'm looking for. Um, so
Because the first one was the original and then Link was the one that was always a pain in the butt because of his cousin always beating the levels. The Adventures of Link.
hi Lola Frosty, welcome on in. Okay. The hero is defeated. The hero is victorious.
Yeah, those are the three timelines that they came up with, which they constantly switch around. So it's more or less to appease the fans because they were trying to sew them all together. So Nintendo's like, fine, this is what we're doing.
That's pretty cool though. Wind Waker.
So,
I didn't know it was called the Wind Waker. I just called it was called Wind Waker.
yeah. So Ocarina of Time is kind of where it divides because of the time traveling problem.
Right.
So that's supposedly where the three games divide up to each
And
other.
then Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom have its own category.
They haven't figured out exactly where they go with because a lot of it doesn't point to anyone yet.
Got it. Okay, so tell me about another one that you love.
Um, No More Heroes. This is a very weird off-brand that I love this.
It's from the Wii.
Yes, it was the only one that I feel like utilized the Wii controllers properly
Okay.
because you had to use the Wii remote for his saber and stuff, and it's just a very like over the top, very weird. And it's kind of one of my. I think they're the same people who make Lollipop Chainsaw, and I really like Lollipop because it's one of those weird off.
Sorry, I was looking up Lollipop Chainsaw and it wasn't. There was nothing there.
Lollipop Chainsaw is also the one of the cosplayers. Cosplayers got their career off that game. They did a competition, she won, and then became super famous.
Okay. Okay.
But the humor and stuff is just kind of very weird and off. I
It
like them.
it says it's on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, they released the trilogy and the extra game and the third game
Okay.
for the Switch, and
Now,
they
I believe that Super Paper Mario takes the cake on the Wiimote. Because when you.
I've never played Paper Mario, so I
Okay,
say
so
otherwise.
Paper
I've always
Mario
wanted to try.
Origami King is trash. Don't buy it. Don't worry. Don't even worry about it. It's utter trash. The whole
Okay.
the whole combat system is garbage. But Super Paper Mario, if you turn the remote, I think it's sideways or pointing towards the screen. I can't remember which way. You'll go 3D, and
Oh,
then
nice.
you can go ahead and go through the whole situation in a 3D manner, and then you get certain powers from certain things that you save. And so some of the powers are that you can shrink, some of the powers are that you can flatten yourself and go through, find holes. And it's just really, it's very much a puzzler, but it's really fun and intuitive. I suggest you look it up if you can get your hands on it, because it's one of my favorite games of all time.
That's a game I've always wanted to try, but was never able to get a hold of.
Yeah, I mean, I have it. I'll play it on stream again. This would be the first time that I'd play it on stream, because I have it and I could run it through the Wii U that we have, and then with the Wii U I can go ahead and put the HDMI cable in it,
That's
or the game capture card or whatever. All right.
yeah.
Again, we're getting off topic. No more heroes. So, all right, give me the third one. A third one.
Um. Okay. I could, if we're gonna go back a ways, I would say Metro. But if I'm gonna say like something newer, I would have to say Cult of the Lamb.
Cult of the Lamb. I know you like that one.
I really like that. I have actually the record of their like an actual physical record of their soundtrack.
Did you end up getting that plush that was on back order?
I definitely got him. I even got the bootleg versions because I didn't think I was going to.
Right, I knew you got the bootlegs, but I'm glad that you finally got the actual one, because I know you were waiting
Yeah,
on that.
he came. I bought. That's how I also got the album too, because I got the record album of the soundtrack and him at the same time.
Oh, okay.
It's just a very fun game.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Um, it's where you kind of, well, I created my cult to be a little bit nicer and not sacrifice so many people. But the fact that there's cult members that either want to eat poop or try to get others to eat poop is also hysterical. Um, that is, there's an animation out too, and if you played the game, you definitely know. Like, it's just so weird because like they won't do things without you telling them, but it's a very base management, but also like
Dungeon crawler?
yeah, sort of thing of going back and forth. Roguelike, I guess, is
Mm-hmm.
the best. Um, but it's so much fun. I have so much fun with it. It's just funny that people request to either eat poop or ask others to eat poop, and then they follow you. It's just such a weird game.
That sounds funny, but I've only watched some of it, but I didn't realize the poop thing. I had no idea.
Yeah, like, and what's it's weird is that like you have to set up outhouses or clean the poop that they leave behind because they get offended and hate you. But some of them will still ask to eat it or give other people to eat it. So like, why are you offended if it's on the ground?
Right. Oh my god.
Like, it's such a weird dynamic. But I love this.
Yeah.
It's just
Are you like, can you beat it, or is it just like constant base management
no.
and
What you're doing is because I'm at the very end, so I haven't beaten it. But the idea is that this god thing asking you to take down the old board gods to be like the new rule. So your object of the game is to create a cult, take down the four old gods, and be the new overall commanding.
okay.
Um, they also just released a DLC, I believe, for
Oh,
this, and
nice.
it's free, I think.
Interesting.
So I have a bit of stuff to still do, but I love this. So much fun.
Uh okay. So we talked about comic book stores, video games. Let's talk about Ren Fair.
Yes,
I love Ren Fair.
I was unable to go last year, which made me
There we go.
hopefully. I'm hoping this year we get to go.
When is normally for you?
Um, October.
Okay.
Yeah, October.
Yeah, ours is
Uh,
around the same time.
the one closer by where I actually live is think it's sooner than that. I have to ask my friend because she goes there. We went once. It's nice for like a day trip. It's definitely not as big as the one we usually go to, but it's a nice like it's it's a whole lot closer, but
Right.
it's like more like 10-15 minutes away as opposed to like an hour and something up north.
Yeah.
Um, but like I just like going like I don't get to go really on vacation. And two places that I like going is New York, the Comic Con
Mhm.
and like the major ones, and then Ren Fair. Those are kind of like the two like what we do every year just to go relax, just kind of be like the vacation that I don't get.
So my brother lives towards your area, I guess, but I don't know what
Yeah.
Ren Fair he recently went to because he went there with my nephew. So I
Okay.
don't know which if he went to a one in Pennsylvania or if he went one in New Jersey, but you
Uh,
you might have to
Probably.
figure out which one.
Yeah, one of those. I know we've been trying to get your mom to come with us to the bigger one
Right.
because I think it'd be just because like I go with my mom, my sister doesn't really want to go, no one else really wants to go, and it's kind of just our time just to go and chill out and have
Okay.
a turkey leg.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So the only thing that makes me sad is that even though it takes place in towards the winter, it's still so hot to wear anything that I find there. Like they have these cloaks and things that I think are awesome, but they're like made for like the friggin' winter, and I already can't wear sweaters because I'm too warm. Like I can't wear a friggin' cloak; it will just kill me.
Right. Yeah,
So
we've got a really big cloak that we acquired and I'm trying to get rid of. So if you're interested in it, it will
I mean,
100% fit you and it is very, very long.
yeah, send it over. I will definitely still try to find a way to wear it. I think
um
it's so neat. It's just that I just do so much heat.
yeah, yeah, it's I love the jousting. I love
Yes.
people who play instruments from that time. I love going with my friends. Um, but I'm curious as far as what is your favorite part?
We go see this one French. He's a mime, but he does comedy. Kind of a mime. He's classified as a mime, but not real. Like he basically does silent comedy, is what he does,
Okay.
and it's fantastic. Every year we see his act, and every year it changes a little bit, but it's still so fun to watch. The performances are great. Um, I I drink a little early because you still have to drive at the end of the day.
Right.
Start early, but like the meat is fantastic. I like it, and the specialties that they have out there, just the taste alone is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The food has gotten better. Like it used to be, there was only chicken legs and pulled pork that was like worth what you paid for,
Right.
but like within the recent years, the food has gone up to match what you pay. So like you can basically almost order anything now, and it's just overall just such a good time. It's really nice.
Good. That's awesome. And I love that you go with your mom. That makes me
Yeah.
so happy. She's so cute in her
She was also
outfits.
upset that we didn't get to go last year, so I'm hoping this year that we can work something out so that we can go either to the one that's nearby for like the day or
Right.
go up there.
Right, right,
Just
right.
so much. I like it.
So you had said collecting things. I was curious what are some of the things you collect besides comic books?
I collect figures of characters and franchises I like. I try to keep it to one character and not like five statues of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I also collect amiibos, which have most of the collection for. Unfortunately, I started late, so a lot of the old ones are very expensive.
Right.
But I have a great deal of the amiibos already, and I feel like it's a collection that I could possibly collect all of, which is not usually the case because collections are expensive.
Yeah. Let me see. Limited to date. Okay. So, wow, this goes through all of them. Hold on a second. So this is just Amiibo Animal Crossing, and it's Animal Crossing cards. Oh, there's Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, I already have all the amiibos for Animal Crossing except the cards because the cards at the time
Yeah,
I didn't know it
I
was a
only
thing.
have cards. That's it.
I have all the Zelda except for the new ones coming out. I have all the Splatoon ones. Um, I have an app on my phone to help me keep track so I don't accidentally buy one that I already have.
Do you have the ones from Monster Hunter?
Yes.
Wow,
I
I didn't
have
even know you played that game.
not really. Uh, I do play Monster Hunter World. I'm not very good at it, but like I at this point I collect amiibos because I want to be able to collect them all. And I think, like I said, I think it's very much within grasp of doing it. There's just some rare ones. Like there was this yarn puppy one with Yoshi's Yarn with the video game. That's gonna be hard to nail down, and there's a giant yarn Yoshi one that's kind of be hard to nail down.
Wow, Super Smash Brothers. So I assume you have almost all of those.
Almost, yeah. Mega
Yoshi's
Man, I have,
Woolly World, that's the one.
yeah. I have all of the Kirby ones. I have all of the Metroid ones. Um, there's just a lot. Some of the older ones are just a little bit harder. Like they run an average of like $30 if you're lucky.
Huh.
Eh,
Kirby, Team Kirby. Games with universal support, read only unless otherwise noted.
Yeah, they're not region locked. So if it's cheaper in a different language, buy it because it unless you're picky and like collecting, they're not region locked.
Wow. Okay.
I'm also not one of the people that keeps them in boxes
Yeah.
because I don't know.
You use them.
Yeah. Plus, if I was gonna keep one for like collector's value to like resell, I'd probably buy two of them, keep one
Right.
in the box. I spend all that money. Why am I keep it in a box?
What other things do you collect?
Um, I collect a lot of plush.
Yeah.
Though I've had to kind of downgrade the size of them because there's only so much room I have. Actually, one of the ones I'm thinking about getting a bow plush. It's to a game I helped kickstart,
Oh.
and apparently it's on sale for the next day in 2 hours. Um, but it's a really neat video game. I do have a few from the video games I kickstart. Just like little knick-knack things. I try to collect little statues because one, big statues are expensive,
Right.
and two, they take up a lot of room. So like, I can't exactly put them many places. So like, I have a Dragon Ball Z one of one of the characters, but he's fairly small. So this way, like, I can collect the characters I like and still kind of keep them around the room, but not take up like half the room while doing it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, one of the streamers that I mod for, he also has a lot of plushes, but they're all gators. So, but he has a lot of plush items as well that he collects. And I know that it's not uncommon. Like I told you I sent all the stuff home from my house.
Yeah.
I have one box, one of the 5 boxes entirely panda bears. It is a heavy box, and I still haven't opened it because I know they'll explode and they'll go everywhere.
They'll take over the whole room.
Absolutely. But I've got a box full of panda bears should I need them. All right, so let's talk about I'm trying to figure out. Tell me about the English language rather than reuse words to come up with new ones. I found that interesting.
I just like a lot of words that in the past language has, but like a lot of new words where people either use it for different things or different things. Like instead of creating, I find it weird that people don't try to create new words. They just try to reuse old ones in different ways. And I feel like that's such a waste of an effort. Like just what people call each other or like what like in positive ways. I'm not going like any kind of negative way, but like I'm trying to think of a good example, and I can't think of one off the top of my head. I just know there's a lot of English language. There's a lot of words that have like double or triple or like
Bear, bear,
crazy
and
amount of
bear.
minutes. Yeah, but like, why not create a new word? Like, all the words are made up to begin with. Just freaking make a new one.
Yeah, how did tree become tree? And even in Latin, how did they go? That's a tree. You know, okay, big leaved thing. All right, well, how'd you come up with the word leaf?
Yeah,
You
like
know?
it has to come from somewhere, and you have to combine words or combine meanings or something. Like you have to do something to create the word. Why not create new words in the language? Like keep using freaking other words? Like I feel like it's whenever someone comes up with like this word means this now, and I always feel like it's such a wasted opportunity to like why not expand the English language into something more than just repeating words that we have?
You're
And I
never gonna
always
make fetch happen, Gizmo, okay? Nobody's ever gonna use fetch. It's not gonna be the new word.
no. Eh.
I love that movie. That's so fetch. Oh my god. Okay,
So
go ahead.
yeah, no, it's just that's just makes me sad that like we don't expand the language into something more than it is. Just though I feel like that's kind of like the par for the course as of late with like movies and stuff. They're not really creating new stuff. It's just redo using old stuff, and I just feel like it's like sometimes it's good, but like we're more creative than that. Like show it.
Right. Yeah, and or the music is the same four chords kind of thing.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Like creative. Try something different. I know you have to like there's sometimes you have to reuse that thing to sell to make money to pay those bills. But at the same time, you do have that opportunity to try to
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I get that. I do. Um at the same token, what you use to get inspired by is you're going to have some of that in your stuff, right? So if I'm
No, of
inspired
course.
by I don't know, your art, right? That's going
Yeah.
to bleed over into what I do with my art because
Yeah.
I like it. So it's going to have a little bit of the old stuff with it, but I understand using the exact, it's almost like copyright, right?
Yeah.
Using the same words to explain the same things to explain the same poem is copyright.
Yeah.
So I could see that. I could see where you're coming from. What did you write? No endings. What was that?
Okay.
What does that
So
mean?
the no ending is something that I have a problem with TV shows and comic books.
Okay.
Mainly the Marvel and DC ones. Um and I think it's a problem that they have even with like Spider-Man and Batman. There's no ending to them, so no resolution ever gets. It doesn't matter what they like. To some people, they see it differently, but to me, like, no matter how many times you read Spider-Man or Batman, like they've become 100 different versions of themselves to the point of like the stories matter, but they don't. Like they're neat stories, you can tell them, but like it's starting to get to a point. At least for me, this is just from how I see it. It's just like it doesn't matter what happens to them because it will always go back to the default. It'll always be the
Right.
same. Nothing's changing. Like the thing that I think people are having problems with Spider-Man currently is that the way they're treating him. They were working towards him and Mary Jane actually like having a family, and the new writer kind of reset him, sent him back to default. Mary Jane broke up, and now he's back to dating whoever. But like, you have Miles now. Miles could be the old Spider-Man of being everybody's Spider-Man, and Spider-Man as Peter Parker can move on to the family Spider-Man, to, like speak to the readers that are now 30, 40 years old.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, none of the characters don't have endings. Like, and I think that's why for me sometimes manga is better than the average comic because like they have beginning, middle, and end. Even though they may have different series and they may continue, they still have an ending. Like yeah, some of the stories they tell do have endings, but in the end, like if a character dies or something, for the most part, it doesn't matter. Like it used to be like Superman when he first died, he was in the friggin' news. Now if he dies, it doesn't matter. Because why? Because he'll be brought back in a matter of months. Like I feel like you're losing a lot of that impact because you're not getting an ending. You're not getting like a complete
resolution.
story. Yeah, there's nothing there that is going like Parker will always have Parker luck. He will never have that family. Never have he will always be the Spider-Man. Like at one point he was a scientist that had a job. They took that away from him. Like he's back to being Parker again. Like you have Miles, you have the younger generation. Make Miles everyone's younger Spider-Man and make Spider-Man everyone's older Spider-Man so everyone can relate to him being older, having a family, running around. Like I feel like none of the stories ever move on more than what they are, and that's what
Right.
bothers me. That's why I said no ending because even TV shows have like most of them don't have endings to them, and sometimes when they do, it's kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
and everyone's like it's all about the journey, but like I'm tired of the journey. I want to see someone have like even if it's a good ending, bad ending, I want to see the story end. I want to
Right.
see it move on.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
unfortunately, like newer comics like this, they don't get that because Marvel, especially Marvel and DC, are always resetting. Because going back to book number one brings up those sales, but like again, you're just resetting it. You're just resetting it. Like how much are you gonna do this to the point of where like nobody wants to read the story that doesn't really matter? Like
Right. Yeah.
Spider-Man has been every version of himself, mutated to cloned to hated to loved to a job to a family to losing children. Like he's been everything. So what is there left to know? What are you telling? What makes him different than all the other characters that are now going through all the same variations he is? Like
Right.
I don't know. I
What
feel like it loses.
What are the top three movie or TV shows that you think have bomb endings, like good endings?
Um, I don't watch TV anymore.
I
Uh,
know. I know. Neither do I. That's why I'm asking the question as far as
um,
like Netflix or movies or whatever. X Files, did they have a good ending?
no. They kind of just teetered out. The main character left, and they just kind of limped on like one leg until they hit a wall and then fell apart. Um, but that was a good show, and they just should have just ended it at a certain point and been like even though it does well, you should end it while you have a chance before it just like crumbles and peters off into a wall. Like
Right.
because like as much as I can't really think of any disappointing endings, I can't think of many ones that actually had endings
Right.
that I've watched. Like
And that's why I was
ones
asking.
that
It
like
was the
ones that are
probe.
not like yeah, like ones that are not forced anyway. Like oh, this is the last episode. See ya.
Right. It's kind of like the Grey's Anatomy effect where it just keeps going and there is no ending. It's
like
kind of like that.
uh, I I know like kudos to them keep going and still being able to make new episodes, but like Simpsons should have ended
Yeah,
long time ago.
I agree with that statement. My brother would
like
beg to differ, but I agree with that statement.
but like because the whole thing that's South Park did long time ago is that Simpsons did it and they continue to do it and do it and do it and like it's same thing. And at one point like people get tired of it and you just hope like a new generation that never knew it before attaches to it.
Right.
But I don't know. I just like with mangas and anime, well some anime anyway, have ending and have like this is the story's ending, this is what happens, this is the conclusion. And I enjoy having an ending and I'm sad to see like comic books that I read more times than not uh don't have an ending.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That's a definitely a hot topic too amongst I wouldn't say superhero fans, but superhero fans, basically people who are
Yeah.
into comic books and even movies who are just like let the character do the character. Like let
Yeah.
them exist in their character world and not tamper with them. Because like when I heard that there was a new Spider-Man, this was way back after the Peter Parker and Kristen what the Kirsten Dunst, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about that Spider-Man. So when they made a new one after that, I was just expecting to see the same people again. That was not the case. So
The
then they made another one and they're like, "No, we forget about the one we just made." we're making this one. And I'm like, is there a new actor? They're like, you fucking betcha there's a new actor. And I'm like, what is happening? I didn't even know there was new Spider-Mans. Like, I didn't know about the multiverse until, like, I don't know, 4 months ago. Like, I I can't keep up.
Yeah.
So, even as someone who's not as face first into superhero stuff, it's very confusing.
Yeah, and like that's something that like comics that keep trying to do like with their number one, and that's why they keep rebooting to number ones because people are like, well, where do I pick up? And they're like, oh, just pick up with this number one, and sales go up, yeah, for a time, but like a few months later, they're back down to their where they were. Like it doesn't stick,
Right.
and like I feel like if you're like, okay, here's Spider-Man's story, beginning to end, like yeah, you still can do like the offshoots of like, oh, this happened in between, just kind of like have your whatever series, but like sometimes I feel like they drag these superheroes like kind of through the mud and just like get back up there and do what you did like 10 years ago. Go for it. Like you're like, okay, I guess.
All right. Well, speaking of endings, we've come to ours. Um, Tell me, is there anything that was on your list that you feel like you want us to touch on, and we can go ahead and do that?
Uh Not really. I kind of was. It was kind of difficult for to think of things. Though once I started rolling, it kind of came out. But I was trying to think of stuff that we could talk about instead of like because my friend's like, oh, just put that your favorite color is purple. I'm like, how long can you talk about that though? Like, but he did bring up like other good points. But
Right.
like, I was trying to avoid those kind of things. It's like, yeah, this is my favorite color, and
Right.
like I wanted a little bit more of a conversation, and I'm
Right.
happy what we talked over. It was very interesting.
I agree. I'm so happy to have you on. It's my dream come true to be full circle and be able to interview you. You are my lifelong brother, and I love you very, very much.
I love you too, and I thank you for having me on here. And,
Yeah.
thank you for people who stopped through.
Yeah.
It was
Thanks to everybody who stopped by. Please stick around. We might do a raid. I can't say we are going to do a raid because sometimes people just aren't on, and there are people that I just don't want to go to. Um, and that is
Are you familiar with the sandwich dude?
Oh my god, that's right. Davey's eating a sandwich.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to go to him every single time, and I totally forgot. We're reading Davey. He knows who I am and that I do a talk show, and so right now this is perfect. I totally freaking forgot that he does these on Wednesdays as well. Everybody, we're going to Davey's eating a sandwich. Please stop by and say hello. He's an amazing dude. And let him know that Panda Raid is here. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great one.
goodbye.